What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, this is going to be a pretty personal episode of Joe Winko Talk. It's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and it is going to get a bit X-rated and steamy towards the last part of this video. So if you're under 18, please don't watch this video because some of it is going to be a bit X-rated. It's definitely going to be personal, not really morbid or gloomy. This episode of Joe Winko Talk is going to be about why I am glad that I am not a female, and why I never want to be a female, and why I hope I never am born a female in any of my next lives or anything like that. So yeah, I figured this would be an interesting one since the whole point of all my YouTube videos is for you guys to get to know me and what goes on inside my autism mind. But those of you who've been following me long enough, you all know the drill. So in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm actually not a straight guy at all. I'm actually a gay guy. And I'm pretty sure that, like, every single gay guy who exists have actually thought of this, have wondered what their lives would be like if they were a female instead. And I've even heard some gay guys claim that if they would have been born a female, their lives would have been easier. I actually used to think the same thing a long time ago. I wouldn't think it that much, but back when I was a little kid, I used to think the same thing, really. But quickly I realized that that would not be good for me to be born a female. And I hope this doesn't offend any of my female viewers at all. But there are quite a few reasons why I never wanted to be a female, why I don't want to be a female, and why I hope I'm never born a female in any of my next lives, because I believe in reincarnation and everything like that. But that's worthy of a whole new episode of Joe Winko Talk, so we won't be discussing that in this video. So the only time I've ever wished I was actually a girl was back when I was a little kid, like when I was 4 or 5 years old, and this was like when I was extremely young, as you guys know. This is a bit embarrassing for me to admit, but back when I was 4 and 5 years old, I really loved the Powerpuff Girls. Nowadays, I think they're really annoying, and nowadays I'm more into My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but so are a lot of other guys, the bronies. But back when I was a little kid, I used to love the Powerpuff Girls, and I remember on Halloween, back when I was in kindergarten, I wanted to be a Powerpuff Girl for Halloween, and I remember begging my adoptive parents, my conservative adoptive parents, at that time they were definitely conservative. I remember begging my adoptive parents to get me a Powerpuff Girl costume, and I remember asking them for a Powerpuff Girl costume over and over and over again because I wanted to dress up as a Powerpuff Girl for Halloween. I don't really remember which one I wanted to be, but most likely Blossom. I'm thinking either Blossom or Bubbles. I didn't want to be Buttercup, but either Blossom or Bubbles. Most likely Blossom, really. And I even remember we went to the costume store because they wanted to take me in to look at Halloween costumes. And I really wanted the Powerpuff Girl costume, and I just remember my mom grabbing my arm, pulling me away from it, and walking me out of the store. I even remember crying, because remember, I was only 4 or 5. I was like, why can't I be a Powerpuff Girl for Halloween? And then my adoptive mom was going like, Joe, you have a penis and you're a boy. You can't be a Powerpuff Girl. Wow, I mean that seriously wouldn't fly in 2020, but back then, I mean 2022 I should say, but back then, that's how people thought. I mean, I'm glad things are changing nowadays. But even when I think about that now, that still pisses me off, really. But me and my adoptive mom, we were at a rift for a while, but we've made up now. And that's the only time that I wished I was a girl, because back then I liked a lot of girly stuff. I liked playing with Barbie dolls back when I was a little kid, but I didn't quite play with them the same way that girls play with them. Because another thing you have to remember is that I also really loved slasher movies back when I was 4 and 5 years old. How I would play with them is I would choose one girl to be the survivor girl, and then I think I would. I mean, my adoptive dad, he collects like a lot of GI Joes. What I would do is I would play with one of his GI Joes, and I would like tape a mask to his face and have him hold a sword, and I'd make all the girls split up, all the Barbies split up, and I'd have the killer with the knife hacking them all up one by one, and then the girl defeats him at the end. She gets the gun and shoots him after a long chase scene, of course. And that's how I always used to play with my Barbie dolls back then. So I'm assuming that's not the way girls play with Barbies. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who done that, but I'm pretty sure that's not the way most girls play with their Barbies. But either way, those were all considered like girly toys, and I kind of felt awkward having them back then after a while when a bunch of people started telling me, like my adoptive brothers and sisters, because they're the only ones who saw me play with them. They used to tell me, "Oh, Joe, those toys are for girls. You can't be playing with them." And that's honestly the only reason why I ever wanted to be a girl, because I felt I was too young to understand that it really doesn't matter at all. But when you're that young, you're very impressionable, and when people are bashing you, especially your own adoptive family, who you kind of look up to, I'm not going to lie, I kind of disassociated myself with them even back then, but not to much of an extent back then. But it kind of brings you down quite a bit when you're that young and people are telling you, oh, you're not supposed to be this way, this is how boys are. I mean, if I was growing up, if I was a little kid nowadays, it'd be completely different. And I think that's honestly how it should be. We shouldn't assign certain stuff to certain sexes, like male or female, like only females do this and only males do that. It should be like more open, really, honestly. And this may seem a bit controversial, what I'm about to say right now, but I honestly think that if we didn't assign like certain stuff to certain sexes, like only females can wear dresses and leggings and high heels, and only men can wear suits and ties and stuff like that, if we didn't have things like that assigned to certain sexes, I think this whole gender dysphoria and everything, I mean, it would still there would still be transsexuals, really. People would still need hormones to transition and everything. And I have nothing against that, honestly. But I think it would be less common and it would be less hard on the people who are transsexual, really, because everything would be like considered gender neutral. Like all clothes would be gender neutral. And we kind of are heading in that direction a tad bit, but back when I was a little kid, I mean, apparently it wasn't okay for a boy to be a Powerpuff Girl for Halloween, which I thought was pretty stupid. And I definitely wouldn't want to do that now, because nowadays I actually think the Powerpuff Girls are really annoying. Really. But that's the only time I've ever wanted to be a female. And then I remember back in elementary school, I used to see the girls. They used to always wear pink. This was back in kindergarten. They used to always wear pink because remember, I went to a Catholic school, but when you were in kindergarten, you didn't have to wear uniforms. They would always wear pink, and I would always want to wear pink, and that's another thing that my adoptive parents would never let me do. They would never let me wear pink at all, and that's another thing that made me sad. And I would always ask the girls, what's it like being a girl? And they would always tell me, oh, it's so much fun, but you never want to be a boy at all. And then that would bring me down because I actually was a boy. And this is before people started thinking more liberal about stuff like that. But that didn't last for very long. As I grew up, I started to realize that it's a lot better to be a boy and to be a man than it is to be a female. No offense to the females watching this, but in my opinion, strictly, and due to my autism mind, this is how I feel. I would never want to be a female. Not in any of my future lives and reincarnations, I would never want to be a female. And there's quite a few reasons why. One of the major reasons why is because I love being shirtless, as you guys see. I mean, being shirtless is like my trademark. I always love having my shirt off all the time. The reason why I'm always shirtless is because I always wanted to look the same in all my YouTube videos. And if I had to wear a shirt in my YouTube videos, then I would have to wear either the same shirt all the time, and that would be a hassle, or I'd have to have like multiple copies of the same shirt, which would also be a hassle. But when I'm shirtless, I look the same all the time in all my YouTube videos, really, which is really awesome. Also because I live in Florida right now, and usually most of the time during the year I sweat a lot, and when I start sweating, I don't want to get my shirts dirty at all. So that's why I love being shirtless. Also, I love showing off my slender body too. And it's also became my trademark because I always would do my videos shirtless, even back when I was younger, because back during my younger days, my bedroom was right above the heating furnace in the old house I used to live in. So it would get like really hot in my bedroom all the time, and my bedroom was literally like the warmest place in the house. So that's why I was always shirtless in combination with my other stuff, which is kind of how it became my trademark, really. The unfortunate thing is females aren't really allowed to be shirtless, as in they just can't show their nipples at all because breasts are considered sexualized, really, if they're on a female. Even though some men have breasts and they're allowed to show their nipples, females aren't allowed to show their breast or their nipples. I mean, I remember reading online that there's a lot of like women trying to petition the free the nipple or something like that. I don't know what they call it, so they're allowed to walk around shirtless. Which honestly I wouldn't mind at all, because I think it would be more fair if females were allowed to be shirtless. I don't know why they sexualize breasts so much. I mean, I know they turn men on and everything, but there's really nothing sexual about breasts. They're not part of the reproductive system, honestly. So I feel that females should be allowed to show their breasts, and I think it's unfair that men are allowed to show their nipples and females aren't. Like, if I was a woman and I was doing all my YouTube videos, I would have to wear a bra in all my YouTube videos to cover up my nipples, or I'd have to put duct tape on my nipples or something like that. And that would get really annoying having to do that all the time, honestly, because I'd want to look the same in every single one of my videos, have to wear the same color bra all the time. And you know, another interesting thing, I remember I looked up online, do people like wearing bras? And the funny thing was, a lot of the guys were saying that they love wearing bras, but a lot of the females were talking about how they hate wearing bras, and ironically, it's the females who need the bras. Like, the girls were complaining about how the bras are all expensive, and that when the wire breaks, they have to get a new one. And the males were saying, oh, I love wearing bras. They feel so comfortable and they look so nice on me. I love them. But then all the females were saying that they hate wearing bras and everything. And I thought that was pretty interesting, honestly. It's really not that funny, really. I feel bad for the girls, because imagine being a girl, having to wear a bra and hating wearing bras, but then you see guys who don't need bras who are talking about how bras are the best thing ever. I'd be pretty pissed off at that. That's what my autism mind is imagining, really. Now, don't get me wrong, there definitely are some downsides to being a man compared to being a woman. For example, if I was a woman and I became homeless, like, there's so many resources for homeless women. The homeless shelters for females are usually very nice, and females are kind of viewed as vulnerable. So if a woman is in trouble, people are more likely to help a woman, really. Also, females do get away with a lot more stuff than men do. However, in my opinion at least, it's still better to be a man than a woman, because that's also a major downside to being a woman. Women are viewed as vulnerable, and physically, most of the time, females are not as strong as men are, and they're more susceptible to bad things happening to them. Let me give you an example. So I myself, I absolutely love to go on road trips all the time, and I love to do like adventure videos and new places, and I'm always trying to find someone to take me on a road trip. I'm still trying to find someone to take me on a road trip. For example, I was looking for someone to take me on a road trip to northern Alabama. Here's the map of everywhere I wanted to go, and here's also the trophy I was going to give to the stranger who would take me on a road trip to northern Alabama. I've been looking for someone to take me there for years. And every now and then I do meet a nice person online who sends me a bus ticket to visit them and we go on a road trip together. Like for example, a while ago I found a stranger online who took me on a road trip to Arkansas back when I was living in Wisconsin because I posted an ad on Craigslist saying that I was looking for someone to take me on a road trip to Arkansas. And a little while ago I met a stranger on Reddit who took me on a road trip to Mississippi, and it was awesome. I need to finish editing that video. However, I would not do that if I was a female, because that would be considered really unsafe. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's considered unsafe if you're a guy to do that, but it's more likely that something bad is going to happen to you with doing stuff like that if you're a female. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of creepy psychos who are targeting men and want to kill men and everything. But usually females are more targeted for that than men are, from what I know, really. I mean, the thing about me is I'm able to fight back pretty easily, and some females are able to also, especially if it's some psychopath who think, oh, she's a girl, she's not going to be able to fight me off, but then they get overly confident and they get careless and then she's able to take them out, which is always awesome, kind of like Michonne from The Walking Dead. I mean, she's a real badass. But usually females have more of a difficult time fending for themselves against danger compared to men. And no offense to any females watching this video, but it is true. I mean, how many girls watching this video would post an ad on Craigslist looking for a stranger to take them on a long road trip? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some that are. And I'm pretty sure you would find it a lot more easily than I did if I was a girl showing this map of all the places I wanted to road trip to and saying I'm looking for someone to take me on a long road trip. I'm pretty sure I would get a lot of people offering me rides, even to northern Alabama, saying, oh yeah, Johanna, I'll take you wherever you want to go. However, I truly believe that most of those people offering me rides would have bad intentions. That's the thing. Which kind of plays into the reason as to why I don't really get many people offering to take me on road trips as a male, as I currently am, really. Because I believe most people who would have bad intentions when they see that I'm actually a man looking for someone to take me on a long road trip, they might just think, oh, well, I can't really kill that guy very easily. I mean, he's a man. He's going to be fighting back and stuff the whole entire time. And I think that's the reason why I don't get many replies, really. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, bad stuff does happen to men, too, but it happens to females a bit more often. At least it's more noticeable because the news reporters talk about it more often. But I'm pretty sure if men and women were doing that just as often, like getting into cars of strangers and going on road trips with them, and there were psychos out there, I'm pretty sure females would be the main target because unfortunately, they have a more difficult time fending for themselves compared to men. So that's why I'm glad that I'm a man and not a female, really. Also, to be completely honest, and this is where things start getting X-rated, to be completely honest, I don't really want the female anatomy. I wouldn't want a female body. Like, I wouldn't want to have boobs, and I wouldn't want to have a vagina either. I actually would be very freaked out if I had a vagina because I can't stand the thought of things going inside me at all. Like if I had a vagina, I'd be way too freaked out to put anything inside of it because like it causes anxiety like to have something inside me really. I mean, I am a type 1 diabetic. I have to give insulin shots and the needles have to penetrate through my flesh. So I already have to deal with that enough. But having a vagina, that would not be fun at all. I would not want to have one. Not to mention that I truly believe that the penis is more sensitive than the vagina. Really. I mean, that's why males have higher sex drives than women. And that's another thing, really. Guys seem to enjoy sex a lot more than women. So that's another reason why I'm glad that I'm a guy, really. Which actually brings me to another interesting point that I want to discuss. So this right here is a present that my grandmother got for me. It's a virtual reality gaming headset, and I was really excited to have this, really. It's a lot of fun, and I've been playing with it a lot, honestly. I mean, I've been using it for more stuff, but there's really only one reason why I really wanted this, and I'll give you a hint. It's why this video is X-rated. I wanted to experience watching virtual porn in a virtual reality on the gaming headset, and that's why I have it. Which actually brings me to my next point, which may seem a bit weird to you guys, but I definitely feel like this is because of my autism mind. Now, as I said earlier, I'm 100% gay, but my sexuality is weird. I don't suck cock and I can't take it up the ass. And I'm definitely not into females at all. Don't get me wrong, I think women are pretty, but I wouldn't want to do anything with a woman. I only like men. But it's really just that I like a guy's mouth and a guy's ass, really. Because I don't receive penetrations. Like, I can't take it up the ass, and you wouldn't want to stick anything up my ass. And I also don't suck cock either, which I get bashed for a lot, but that's worthy of a whole new other episode of Joe Winko Talk. I'll be covering that later. I'm not bisexual or anything, but every now and then I do like watching straight porn. The only reason why is because I like seeing men do stuff to women because it turns me on. This is definitely because of my autism mind. Like when I'm watching that, I have this way of like tuning the woman out and seeing the man like make love to the woman, but only focusing on the man, really. Like one of my favorite kinds of pornos to watch is to watch a guy eat a girl out because it turns me on seeing that. Because like I don't know how to describe it, but it like well, I guess it's similar because like, my favorite thing sexually is having my penis sucked on a lot. And I guess it reminds me of that and it turns me on. Because when you see a video of a guy sucking another guy off, the guy getting sucked off is always, like, really dominant and he's, like throat fucking the guy, or he's, like, bossing the guy around, or he's, like, just sitting up and like being really arrogant, giving off a very arrogant vibe, like he's powerful and he's in control. But when I'm actually getting sucked off, I feel like I'm offering myself up to this guy and he's invading me and like sucking on my penis, getting his saliva all over my penis and marking me and draining my sperm and driving me wild. And I'm like I feel like my body is in the palm of his hands and he's like licking me and tasting me, and I feel like he's powerful overall. But you don't really get that vibe when you're watching porno videos of a guy sucking another guy off. I mean, I watched a lot of porno videos of a man giving another man oral sex, but you never get that vibe from any of those videos. Usually the guy getting sucked off is like the dominant and alpha one, really. However, most of the time when you're seeing videos of a guy eating a girl out, it's like the girl is like completely at his mercy, and the guy is like taking control and invading her by like rubbing his mouth all over her vagina and licking her vagina. And it turns me on seeing that, really, because that's the same way I feel when a guy is sucking me off. But you don't get that feeling from watching a porno video of a man performing oral sex on another man. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So that's basically the reason why I like watching videos of men performing oral sex on women. And with my virtual reality headset, I kind of wanted to experience that because when I put it on, I played this one video and it was really tripped out. I was looking around, I saw myself in this fancy room, and then I looked down and I looked at my body. I saw that I had breasts and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And I mean, I was expecting to see that, but I wasn't expecting it to be like this realistic because when I turned my head, I saw all my parts and everything. And I saw that I had breasts and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And then I saw that I didn't have a penis. I had a vagina instead, and I was like, "Oh dear, this is..." But I was trying my best to enjoy it, and I'm not gonna lie, I kinda did. And then this man walked in wearing a suit and a tie, and he was carrying these glasses of wine, this very handsome man, and then I started to enjoy it even more. But as things started to progress, I started to get really weirded out by everything that was going on. Like, he got between my legs, which is something that I always love, and then I looked down and he's like licking and eating my vagina, my virtual vagina, and I'm just looking at it. And I mean, when you're watching it from an outside perspective, it seems more intimate and personal, but when you're actually viewing it from the girl's perspective, it doesn't seem... I don't know how to describe this, but it doesn't seem very... It doesn't seem very invasive. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Like, when a man is performing oral sex on me, like I'm literally going inside of him, he's literally swallowing me, and I'm literally surrounded by him. But when I was imagining this, and I was trying to imagine if it was real, I didn't feel like he was... I mean, he was like rubbing his lips and his mouth all over my vagina, really. But it didn't really feel like we were connecting. And like I couldn't really imagine us connecting with each other, really. And it didn't seem like we were connecting with each other. I mean, when I'm getting oral sex from a man, let's say I have a penis and getting oral sex from a man, I'm actually getting way more contact with his mouth, also with all of his mouth, really, even his throat. But if I had just a vagina, I'm not going to be feeling his throat or his tonsils or his nobula or any of that. I'm just going to be feeling his lips and his tongue, but I'm in much more contact with him when I'm feeling his throat. And also another thing is that, I mean, I heard that females can ejaculate. I mean, not quite the same way men do, but some females are able to squirt. Some of them are, not all of them. And I wouldn't, if he makes me orgasm, like, first of all, I mean, I would just be able to fake it and everything. And even then, I read online, because I read a lot about sex online, a lot of women don't really get into receiving oral sex very often. I read online that a lot of women type in, it just doesn't do it for me, really. And I also read that it's much more complicated. I mean, it's my favorite thing, like receiving oral from a guy, especially if he gets into it. And there's there's no faking an orgasm if you're a man, really. Like, if another guy is sucking me off and he makes me ejaculate inside of his mouth, there's no faking that. He knows that I'm enjoying it, and he knows he's doing something right. But if I'm a female, he doesn't know when I'm going to be done or when I finish it all, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, even when I ejaculate inside of his mouth, I love for him to keep going and keep it in his mouth so I can feel that warm contact with him. But when you're a female, You barely are even inside of his mouth at all. He's just sticking his tongue inside of you, and it doesn't even go that deep, really. So that's why I'm very glad I'm a man and that I have the male anatomy. Also, another thing, I don't know how to explain this, but this is also because of my autism mind. I like feeling myself inside of a man, and this might sound weird, but like when a guy like has me inside of him, even during like oral sex or intercourse, I feel like he's sheltering me and protecting me, and it's like this really deep, intimate feeling. I mean, if I was a female, I would not be getting that feeling at all, because first of all, I can't penetrate him. I don't have a penis, and even if he shoved his penis up my vagina, I mean, I still wouldn't feel that he's surrounding me and protecting me. I would be the one surrounding him, and I wouldn't really be into that. But when I'm a guy going inside of another guy, I feel like he's taking over me and like he's like locking me inside of him. And especially if he's like performing oral sex on me and I ejaculate inside of his mouth, I feel like he's extracting my DNA, keeping like part of me inside of him, and we're like merging with each other, really. But if I was a female, I wouldn't be able to do any of that, really, and I'd be missing out on a lot, which is why I'm glad I'm not a female, and which is why I'm glad, I mean, I never want to be a female, honestly. And I thought that would be really enjoyable, the virtual reality experience with my body as a female, but it just felt too awkward. I was like, this is not me. I was looking at my arms, looking at my chest, seeing the boobs, and seeing my vagina, and I was like, this is totally not me, and I was getting tuned out of it. And then the next thing I know, he's between my legs, ramming his penis into my vagina, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm not enjoying this. This should not be happening. He shouldn't be ramming his penis into my vagina. He should be straddling me. I should be feeling both of his legs, like surrounding my sides. I should be feeling his masculine, lean ass bouncing on my pelvis. I should be feeling his sphincter muscles sliding up and down my glands and my shaft, and I should be feeling the warm mucous membranes of the inside of his ass, and I should be feeling him tense up, feeling the head of my penis poke his G-spot. I would not be able to feel any of that if I was a woman, which is why I never want to be a woman, and which is why I never want to be a straight man either, because I like having sex with men. Plus, I would never want to be a straight man, and I pray to God that when I get reincarnated, I hope I never come back as a straight man, because I never been interested in having sex with females. I'm gold star gay guy. I never been interested in having sex with females. In my previous life, I also was never interested in having sex with females. And I hope in my next lives and all my other future lives after that, that I'm never interested in having sex with females. Only males. I mean, this may seem really weird, but I also kind of feel like sex is only like a male thing, really, because men are the ones that really enjoy sex. No offense to females, but I feel like it's something that only men do, really. I feel like it's something that only men enjoy, really. I mean, I know that's not entirely true. I know females like it too, but men really like it more often, honestly, because of the testosterone and everything. Yeah, I hope I didn't offend anyone, but that's really what I feel. I feel like sex is a masculine male sport. I mean, not exactly masculine. I mean, because like I know I'm into feminine guys also, really. Yeah, I am really, but that's worthy of a whole new video. But like by masculine, I mean only humans with a Y chromosome should be doing sex. That's kind of what I feel like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm not one of those psycho guys who say, no, women should never have sex. Because no, I mean, people can do what they want. But that's kind of what I feel like. I always imagine that sex is only something that men enjoy with each other, really. I mean, that's part of being gay, so I guess it makes sense, really. But yeah, that's why I never want to be a woman at all, honestly. I like being a guy, and yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against females at all, but if I had to choose, I would always be a guy, and I hope I'm always a guy, and I love being a guy, really. Because being a guy is awesome. I mean, yeah, there's downsides to it, like if someone sees me walking down the street late at night, especially because I'm not a small guy at all, I'm a tall, willowy guy, people get freaked out because they think I'm up to no good. But I'd much rather have that than walking down the street at night as a woman and bad guys seeing me as a target. Seriously. I would much rather have that. I'd much rather have people be afraid of me than me a target and vulnerable, really. I mean, even as a guy, you can still be a target and vulnerable to stuff, but yeah, it's better to be a man, really. That's what I feel like, honestly. So yeah, that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Just sharing what goes on inside my mind with you guys. Let me know what you thought of this episode. I really hope it didn't offend anyone. Are there any guys out there who agree with the stuff I said in this video? Um, Hopefully you don't agree with the topping part because I'm trying to find a guy who's a bottom, really. But I hope you guys all like this, really. And curious to how the girls feel about this. And that's another thing I want to say. I mean, I feel sorry for some of the stuff that women actually have to go through, really. And I think that things should be more fair for women. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a total feminist, honestly. But I do think things should be more fair for females, really. I think females should be safe to walk down the street at night and not have to worry about anyone harming them. But that could happen to anyone, really. But it happens more often to females, which is why every single female should have a gay best friend to walk down the street with them late at night. So if someone tries to attack them, they have someone to help fight them off. I mean, two against one, even if one of them is a female, you're more likely to beat them, really. So yeah, that's where we come in. So that's basically it for this episode of Geo Winko Talk. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of everything that I said. And don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.